Dear sexy mother genius, welcome back for day 2 of Sparktending. 10 minutes or so a day of perspectives and instructions gleaned from a life of listening to brilliant mothers thinking, acting, creating, and loving on our own behalf. One day last month, I listened to 14 mothers in a row for 30 minutes each. The topic was mother artists and makers. It's part of a monthly party I throw myself, where I give away my time and my attention to mothers all day long and learn and marvel. It's a gift for others, but unlike some of the other ways and places that I give things away in my life, I feel so fed at the end of a day giving this way. This one day, as the coaching sessions accumulated, a question began to bubble up in almost every session. Each mother, in her own way, was faced with really hard choices between quality of delivery in the workplace and quality of energy for parenting, between time with family and time with self, between cooking the healthy meal her body wanted and making only the food that her picky eating kids would eat, between going to bed out of exhaustion or staying up for creative time, between exercise and the commute, between taking on the second job or continuing to barely pay the bills but living slower, between the stability of an unhealthy relationship or facing the financial loss and the fear about breaking up, between passion and practicality, rest and inspiration, love and career, spaciousness and keeping up. It was a collective picture of full lives, and in many ways, lives full of meaning and purpose and love and action. It was a picture of women in the fullness of maturity and power and creativity, and also pushed right to the edge of limits, right to the edge of sustainability. The solutions to many of these dilemmas were not, and are not, in general, very clear at all. They're dilemmas born of the impossible contradictions we face as mothers as a result of the context that we're parenting in, which was covered in yesterday's episode, if you didn't catch it. But this question kept bubbling up. It seemed to arise from the conversations and in the connections between the conversations. It also seemed to appear like a little offering from the earth. I traveled in Iceland in the winter twice, and I felt so loved by those little natural geothermal pools of hot, steamy water, providing warmth by the side of the road or along an icy path or in a snowy field. And this question was kind of like that, always nearby so we could warm our hands. Here's the question. What if taking care of your own well-being was the non-negotiable part in the midst of all these shifting priorities and choices to make? I mean, the question said coyly, completely non-negotiable. I mean, just work with me here. I know you have to negotiate all over the place, and that's just part of life. But for the sake of exploring, for the sake of self-discovery, for the sake of clarity, what would it be like in every concrete and specific way that you can think of if you didn't negotiate your well-being away at all? Let's just go there. Let's just create some speculative fiction together. Take 10 minutes today with paper and pen, preferably right after you listen to this video, or just pause it now and do this, or with a friend listening, and rewrite your life from the perspective of someone who's absolutely unwilling to compromise her own well-being for anything in every area of life. Physical, spiritual, emotional, mental, social, the environment around you, everything. Think it. Put it into words. Speak it. How well we have learned to negotiate, to accommodate, to make way, to yield. Those things are powerful. It is our power sometimes. It's the power of co-creation, collaboration, survival, love, generosity, interdependence, interbeing. And it can be, as my brilliant friend and spiritual teacher Shunasi Rose says, our contract with deformity. The place where our giving is enacted on top of a weak foundation, one which is not made strong by our own self-respect, our own ability to fill our cup. Where giving and sacrifice become synonymous, inevitable, conditioned, habituated, accepted, even rewarded by the world around us, and as old as the myths of woman as servant. What if your well-being was at the very heart of your life and the only truly non-negotiable thing? The well-being of your body, feelings, soul, mind, relationships, your hands, your creations, your humor, your dwellings, your communities as homes for you. Would the whole society have to change to make that possible? Would your community have to change around you? Would dynamics in your home have to change? How would your schedule change? What argument would you have to win this time? What have you given up on that you would have to dust off and recommit to? How much pleasure could you feel? How much delight and closeness would you have access to? How much would you laugh? How much lighter would your load be? How directly would you speak? How clear would your intelligence ring out? How would food taste? How would your mouth fill with words of love? How would you feel your heartbeat and your breath rise and fall? Would you dance in the middle of your workday because the joy of being here in your precious body was just too much for sitting still? Who would protect the doorways while you sleep? Who would rub your shoulders when they're tight? Who will make sure the family dinner nourishes everyone? You first. What will you ask for? How will your strategizing and organizing be different? How would your choices be shaped, especially those impossible ones? If your well-being came first, how would you choose? What would you choose? I don't need to tell you that self-care is important. You know it already. We all do. We all feel like we could be and should be and want to be doing a better job at it. The question is, how do we get there? And the answer is a paradigm shift more than it's a piecemeal solution kind of thing. So let's just start here with this question that gifted itself to this one batch of extraordinary, ordinary mother artists. Write the speculative fiction today. Even try writing it once a week for a month or two, and hold your choices up to the light of this new kind of speech, this new way of articulating what you want and how your life could be. You'll always have to be negotiating something somewhere. But when you work backwards from this ideal, what can change? I'll leave you with a couple of quotes that you can carry with you today. I got my own back. Maya Angelou. There are days when I drop words of comfort on myself like falling leaves and remember that it's enough to be taken care of by myself. Brian Andreas. When you recover or discover something that nourishes your soul and brings joy, care enough about yourself to make room for it in your life. Jean Shinoda Bolen. Oh, darling, let your body in. Let it tie you in comfort. Anne Sexton. The body says what words cannot. Martha Graham. I'm convinced that life in a physical body is meant to be an ecstatic experience. Shakti Gawain. There's a wisdom in the body that is older and more reliable than clocks and calendars. John Harold Johnson. The church says the body is a sin. Science says the body is a machine. Advertising says the body's a business. The body says, I am a fiesta. Eduardo Galeano. Sexy beast, uncompromising warrior of self-love. Join me tomorrow for day 3 of Sparktending. Share this podcast with your friends and encourage them to sign up to receive this daily gift in their inboxes. Love you. Bye-bye.